All right, folks, we start this hour with the Biden administration's response to the crisis at our southern border as articles of impeachment against DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas have been written up and are released.
President Biden says he'd take action now if only Congress could agree on a spending bill to send to his desk.
Peter Doocy is back at the White House this morning and joins us now with the details. Peter.
And the move to impeach Alejandro Mayorkas isn't because the border is a mess. It's because he said the border is not a mess right now. And these lawmakers feel like they have been lied to by him. So in the articles of impeachment, you've got Article 1, willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law. And then Article 2 is a breach of public trust. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, is saying this vote to impeach him is going to happen as soon as possible. And Speaker Johnson is one of the most outspoken voices against the bipartisan Senate negotiations on the border. But he's taken incoming, Speaker Johnson, from the White House before 7 on a Monday. They just pointed out in a new memo that Johnson once said he only thinks Congress had the authority to tighten border security. Now Johnson says President Biden should be doing more. But this Senate bill everybody's been talking about that appears like it's dead on arrival is at the heart of President Biden's claim that he can do something quickly and on his own.
If that bill were the law today, I'd shut down the border right now and fix it quickly. A bipartisan bill would be good for America and help fix our broken immigration system and allow speedy access for those who deserve to be here.
It's very unlikely that this president or any president would ever say, over the last couple of years, my immigration policy hasn't worked. However, what he's saying now sure is different than what he was saying 4 years ago as a candidate when he said that he wanted people who were seeking asylum to surge the border. And he said at a primary debate, the quote is, "We're a nation who says if you want to flee and you're freeing oppression, you should come." So it's from you should come to I could shut the border if I want to. Back to you.
Right. And Peter, between there, he also said, OK, don't come. But that's why we are right where we are. Peter, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's all. No one trusts that President Biden will ever do this. Even if he had this new bill thoroughly passed in his hands, why would he crack down now? He has to prove himself to be able to do it. For example, put the Remain in Mexico policy in place. Finish building the wall, $653 million. It's laying there. The fence is actually paid for. The contracts are ready to go. You could go and do the First Nation policy right away. The first nation you step into is where you apply, and then we'll decide with new rules when it comes to asylum. You do not need this bill yet. If you show yourself cracking down, this bill would reinforce it and would put pressure on Republicans to pass it. But now the Republicans feel with great, after they've seen the last 3 years, doesn't matter what we give this guy, he's not going to use it. After all, when he has some power, all he did was take on Texas and sues them to cut down the razor wire because he won't finish the wall.
To your point, I mean, this bill's a red herring. Okay, so let's take him at face value. You need this bill. You need it so bad because you're helpless as president. Well, you had control of Congress, unilateral control of the House and the Senate were Democrats during the first 2 years of your presidency. But that's a lie. You don't need Congress to act. You took 94 executive actions in your first 100 days to roll back the Trump-era policies. And now you say, I would close the border if I could. He has a problem. Progressives won't allow that. They panicked when they heard him say that. But his problem is so untenable with mainstream America, he must act, even if it means losing some progressives.
Sure. Republican from the great state of Oklahoma, James Lankford, the senator who's been working on this bill, you know, he was on one of the chat shows yesterday, and he was talking about, you know, there are all these internet rumors about what is in the bill. You know, people are saying a million things. They're all wrong. And so he tried to set the record straight. He said this bill would not let 5,000 people in a day. It's actually a shutdown of the border, and everybody actually gets turned around at the border, which sounds good. He said the bill gets us to 0 illegal crossings a day. There's no amnesty. It increases detention beds so we can detain and deport people quickly. It changes the asylum process so people can get asylum screenings not in years, but within 6 months, and returns them back to their home country on the spot. Joe Biden has praised it. Donald Trump has said, I oppose it because it is a gift to the Democrats. But here's the thing. Chris Murphy, the Democrat senator from the great state of Connecticut, who's working on the bill, said it probably will come up for a vote this week. And we know that the Democrats control the Senate. So it's going to pass. The question is, how many Republicans are going to be on board? And it's going to be very telling.
They need 60 votes.
They need 50 votes, 51 votes.
No, they need 60 votes to pass it. They're going to need some Republicans to get on board with this for the bill to pass. But here's the thing.
I thought just simple majority.
Here's the thing on top of that is Senator Lankford is right in saying before you start criticizing it, we haven't released it yet.
Right.
And you can't pass it in 3 days. If you actually pass the best bill possible in 3 days, no Republican should sign off on that. Something this impactful, they're going to need some time to read it.
And you know, it's interesting because, so let's say this bill comes out and let's say it's decent in the eyes of the American people. You give the left a talking point when it doesn't pass, because the talking point Joe Biden will use ad nauseum from here until Election Day is we had meaningful change. We had border change, but Republicans refused to pass it. Now, look, that's null and void. I don't think this bill, and we haven't seen what's in it, will do anything to stop what's going on at the border. I think H.R. 2 will. That's what Republicans in the House passed. That would restart border construction, 22,000 minimum border patrol agents remain in Mexico. The problem is we have a president who's deciding he does not want to enforce the laws of Congress. The Immigration and Nationality Act is on the books.
Right.
He has a duty to do that. Without the will, you're not going to solve the problem.
Right. And ultimately, you know, as we've heard, it's a presidential election year. Mm-hmm. And Joe Biden is trying to take this issue away from the Republicans. Yep. And while he might not stop the flow, ultimately, if it does not pass, he's going to be able to say, look, I pulled out all the stops. I said I was willing to do something, but the Republicans just want this as an issue. I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.